This is a hard one to answer. How important each is. They're all important. Um, Looks versus game versus money. I'd say money is the least important unless you get to the extremes. Because money, when you approach, there's no way that money really makes a difference. Like you can be wearing Armani or something, and that might very slightly help, just having better fashion. You can afford a, better haircut, things like that. But if you can get into the venue, it doesn't really like, how is it going to make a difference? Like in terms of long-term dating and a girl wanting to keep you around, it can start to factor in. But if anything, rich guys tend to supplicate more and tend to do worse. I have plenty of rich clients, and they struggle because they're rich. So, and me, like I'm not rich, but I am, wealthy. I don't know. I make more money than average for sure, but I have not noticed any benefits to that, except if you can get more freedom of time. And I need to clean the dog shit in the yard better so that there aren't flies around. But anyway, I would say in terms of status, you can get better logistics, right? So I lived until very recently on the Las Vegas Strip, and I'm probably going to move to like Old Town Scottsdale soon. That's my plan, or maybe Austin downtown. And being able to afford the rent in a very good location where you're walking distance from the clubs, that's helpful, right? But that's kind of ancillary. It's not like direct lead an advantage having more money. And then if you can have enough money that you can have more time, that's an advantage too. But otherwise, money is not an advantage at all. And then in terms of game versus looks, it's very hard to say. I mean, it's very hard to quantify, and anyone who can give a very strong answer they don't really understand how complex it is. All I can say is that I've seen very average and below average guys crush it, and I've seen very good looking guys struggle, and the opposite, of course, too. But it's something that can be made up for. You should maximize over time. Why not, right? It's not going to hurt to improve your looks, because you can. If you're like morbidly obese, you could potentially, in some cases, go from like a 3 to a 9. Now, that's not average, but you can definitely at least go up like 2-3 points in terms of looks. So something you should do long term. But a lot of the hottest girls I slept with was when I was in the worst shape and when I, was dressed the worst, etc. So does it make a difference? Yes. Should you improve it? Yes. Is it 50-50, 70-30, 60-40, 80-20? I don't know, because it's very hard to quantify something so amorphous. Makes a difference. Generally, people who think their looks are what's holding them back are kind of lying to themselves and using that as an excuse. That's the most important point, because most guys I know who say, oh, I think my looks are holding back, they've never even approached, or maybe like done 1 or 2 approaches in their life, and they're telling themselves it's their looks, right? So that is a very easy trap to get into mentally, and you shouldn't really think about it until you're at, once you've approached 100 women in a week, then you can start to evaluate, oh, if I got 0 numbers and every girl said fuck off and said you're a troll, something like that, then you can start to be concerned. But you shouldn't draw that conclusion when you barely even scratch the surface of taking action and having game, right? If your game's a 0 to 10, the amount of action you're taking is a 0 to 10, then your results are going to be a 0 to 10 no matter what your looks are. And I would also add, it shouldn't just be game versus looks versus money. It should be game versus looks versus money versus action taking, right? How many women you're asking out, how consistent you are with approaching, things like that, because that is just as big of a factor as any of the others, right? And that's one that's just kind of easy to brush aside, but it's so important. And the last thing I'll add is that it is more important online. So you have to keep online dating. Looks will get you a lot farther. However, if you have bad quality pictures, being good looking, you'll still probably get mediocre results. But if you're obese, it's going to be very hard to get really good results with online dating. You can do okay, but you're not going to get amazing results. So getting into better shape is going to help massively with online dating. So there is that.